Good morning. I have been awake for all of about 5 minutes. Before I do anything, let's see if the women's prize announcement has been put up. I believe it has. Okay, we are going to look through this, the 2026 Women's Prize for Fiction long list. You ready? Let us see what is on here this year. Okay, we've got Gloria Don't Speak by Lucy Apps. I've never heard of it. I don't even think I heard anybody do that in their predictions video. Paradiso 17 by Hannah Lilith. Okay. Moderation by Elaine Castillo. Flashlight by Susan Choi. I assumed something from Booker was going to be on here. I wasn't sure which one. Flashlight was one that a lot of people were thinking maybe. I started reading that for the Booker Prize and I didn't finish it, but not because I wasn't enjoying it, because it had to get taken back to the library. So that is now back onto my TBR. Dominion by Addie E. Kitchens. I feel like I've heard of this one. The Benefactors by Wendy Erskine. This one sounded really interesting. Was on a few people's predictions list. I don't think I can get it here in the States, but I'll do some more research. The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. I thought this might be on here. This is one that I've heard incredible things about. Hasn't been at something that I've really wanted to pick up, but I will now be picking up. The Mercy Step by Marsha Hutchinson. The Others by Sheena Kalaliel. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to see how everybody else pronounces that. Kingfisher by Rosie Kelly. Heart the Lover by Lily King. I've read that. I really enjoyed that book, actually, quite a lot. Oh, I'm excited that's on there. Audition by Katie Kitamura, a book I have actually already read. Really enjoyed. I sort of enjoyed that one. That one was a weird book. It wasn't my favorite, but I'm glad there's something else on here I've read. That means I'm not gonna have to read the entirety of the long list. A Guardian of the Thief by Megha Majumdar. I've heard people talk about this, and it's definitely been on some people's predictions, so that's interesting. Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Ooh, I DNF'd that book. I DNF'd that book a while ago. We'll see if it's a book I give a second chance to. The Best of Everything by Kit DeWall. Okay. And A Beast Slinks Towards Beijing by Elise Evan Yang. Okay, that is the long list. Nothing on here stands out for me in any positive or negative way. Last year, obviously, I was pretty devastated about one of the books that was left off, and it actually really marred my entire experience for the Women's Prize last year. Didn't have that this year. So I will see. I'll be curious to see what other people's reactions are for people who have read these or heard of these books. I am now going to go have breakfast and coffee and see which of these books I can get through my library or what other options I have. And I will be back for you very soon. For me, it's going to be a couple minutes. Shall we start this video properly? Cheers. Grab your coffee. Let's break down this Women's Prize list. Well, I was kind of figuring out my breakfast and figuring out the books that I could get for the list. I did watch a couple people's reactions videos. It seems like there are quite a few books on this list that people don't know a whole lot about, and I really enjoy that. That's one of the perks of these prize lists. You're always introduced to things that just never would have come across your radar otherwise. And it seems to be kind of across the board like that. There are definitely a couple bigger names on here, as there always are. But kind of as a whole, there seem to be a lot of things that people hadn't already read yet, and that is always exciting. There are a couple that I am just not going to be able to get my hands on down here. As a lot of people who watch these videos know, I don't purchase a lot of my books. I depend very heavily on the library. I do have access to electronic ARCs because of my job, so I do have one that I was able to get. I don't know if it's available in the States. It must not be if I'm able to get it as an electronic ARC, but there is how this works. I don't buy these books because it's so much money to go and buy a list of 16 books. It's just not feasible. Let's talk about which ones I can get, which ones I can't, and kind of what they're about. For a lot of these, I don't need to know or don't want to know a lot about them because it can kind of skew what I think before I go in. especially with books I don't know about. So we are going to go through and just see how my library does with getting me these books. Let's start with the one that I do have coming as an electronic ARC, and that is The Mercy Step by Marsha Hutchinson. This seems like it's about a girl who is in a family and she doesn't feel like she quite belongs, and she kind of needs to take things into her own hand. That's just what I've gotten from a very, very brief look at things, and the couple of reaction videos I watched, they talked about it. I don't always love books told from a child's perspective, so I'm going into this one with a little bit of trepidation, but I do really like the cover of this book. It looks like a lot of fun. Moderation by Elaine Costello. This book is one that I have heard of. It was on a couple of people's predictions list, I believe. I am number 1 on the holds list. There are 2 copies at my library available, and I'm number 1. So hopefully it'll get to me fairly quickly. I believe this is about a content creator, and she's having a romance with a boss, I think, but also about the world of being, not content creator, content moderator. And I cannot imagine how terrible that job would be. I'm sorry. That just does not seem like something that would be a good time. And so I think maybe there's some blurred lines in terms of like reality and non-reality, if you get that gist. A Guardian and a Thief by Magda Majumdar. This is a book I actually think I can get physically. So I will see if I can't do that by the end of the day. If I can't get my hands on it, I will put myself on hold at the library. However, the hold at the library for this book is eons long. I don't know how long it would take for it to get to me, but I will cross that bridge when I get there. The Benefactors by Wendy Erskine. I think I talked about this in the reaction video, is a book that actually sounds really, really interesting, but it's not one I can get my hands on here in the States. I don't know if there's a release date for it here. I'm not really sure what the story is. I didn't look too quickly into that, but it is a book that I believe follows a community, particularly mothers, 3 or 4 mothers whose sons are involved in some sort of really terrible act, and kind of the fallout from that is what I think the story is about. It reminds me a little bit, just in terms of that type of premise, tiny little bit of Beartown by Friedrich Bachmann, and the Beartown trilogy was one of the best books I read last year. I absolutely adored that trilogy so very much. I really would love to read this when the time comes, but I'm just not going to be able to do that for this long list. Next, we have Paradiso 17 by Hannah Lilith Asadi. I am number 1 on the hold list for this. There are 2 copies available at my library. And in this, I believe you are following the life of a Palestinian boy, and he seems to kind of travel all over the world, including into the West, and what that entails. Seems like a pretty epic journey in this book. It doesn't seem like it's all that long, but yeah, it appears to be covering quite a lot of content in its form, and a story about a boy. We will see how that one goes. Heart the Lover by Lily King is a book that I read last year and really, really absolutely loved. It is not one that I'm going to reread, I don't think, just because the wait list and stuff I think would be too long. But I love this book. I'm very happy to see it on this long list because it also means I don't have to read 16 books, which is great. But I'm very excited to hear what people have to say about it. The writing of this was brilliant. The storytelling was so good. I just had such an incredible time reading this book. The Best of Everything by Kit DeWall is a book that I am unfortunately not able to get my hands on. I don't actually really know what this one is about. I don't feel like anybody in the predictions video, in their reactions video, really talked about it, except to say that Kit DeWall apparently is an incredible writer and they were excited about it. I have never heard of Kit DeWall before, so I will have to look up her other works and see what's out there and what is available, because I'm always curious about new authors. If you've ever read from her before and you know anything, let me know down below in the comments, see if it's worth picking up, because it's always fun to find new people. The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. Guys, look, I put myself on hold, but I am number 199 of 44 copies. We will see if I get to it before the winner is announced, to be honest. I'm just not sure that it's in my future. I will do my best to read it, but I'm not sure. So The Correspondent is a book that has been all over the place this year. I have heard very, very good things about it. And when I first heard of it, I thought it sounded interesting. The one thing being, it's an epistolary novel, I believe. It's told through letters. I don't love books where the entirety is told through letters. So I've been very hesitant to pick it up. We'll see how this one goes. It's one that I'm going to go into with a little bit of trepidation just because of the style in which the story is told. Doesn't mean I won't love it, but it is one that I haven't been super excited about, but I've heard incredible things, so I won't be disappointed to at least give it a shot, but we'll see. Apparently it follows a woman who's kind of grumpy, but she's got a lot of emotional softness and awareness about herself in her letters, is what I've heard through the grapevine. Don't quote me on that, but it seems like the character at least is pretty compelling. We will see when it gets to me what I think of it. The Audition, sorry, not The Audition, just Audition by Katie Kitamura, as I said, is a book that I read for the Booker Prize last year. I had an okay time with it. I won't be rereading it. I didn't like it enough to reread it, but I will be very curious to see what more people have to say about it. It's definitely a book that sparks conversation. You're following a woman and a man are having lunch in, I believe it's New York, and there's just speculation in their interaction about what kind of relationship they have and how the book evolves. There's definitely a split in the middle of kind of where you think the story is going and then where it actually goes, which was intriguing but confusing to me anyways. So a book that I have read, will not be rereading, but it's just a book that continues to get some really good buzz. Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Okay, I put myself on hold for this one as well. I don't know when it'll get to me. I'm number 81 of 17 copies. This is a book that I have, like I said previously, DNF'd. I was just bored. I wasn't having a good time with it. Also, climate books are not always my favorite. I sometimes just feel like they hit a little too close to home, and I don't particularly need that. Like, there's so much going on in the world. I don't need to add fictionalized trauma to my life as well. And so I really struggle sometimes with that type of book. I thought the writing was done really well, but Charlotte McConaughey is an author that a lot of people have loved, and I've never fallen in love with her books before. I've kind of thought they were fine. So this wasn't one that I had really high expectations with. I will give it another chance. You're following a family who lives on an island, and I believe they're the only people there. Everybody else has disappeared. It's like a scientific research island, I believe. And then one day this woman, she washes up on shore from a shipwreck, and the family is kind of wondering why she's there, but she has her own reasons for being there, and you don't really know. Nobody's being super truthful. It's definitely a book that I understand why people love. It just wasn't necessarily for me, but it could have just been the time that I was reading it at, so I will give it another chance if it gets to me before this prize is over. A Beast Slinks Towards Beijing by, I didn't write the author down for this one, by Alice Evelyn Yang. And this is one that just the title in itself is really, really intriguing. This one follows, who is this? What is this one about? Oh, her father like disappears, and then one day he shows up again, I think. I believe it's a family story, a family saga. It's a dark, magical, realist family saga that moves through Japanese occupation. Oh, I didn't realize that that's where it was going to move through the Japanese occupation. So it just seems like it's a family story. I really enjoy family stories. I think the title of this is absolutely 10 out of 10. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And for this one, I am number 1 on the holds list of 2 copies at my library. That one should get to me fairly quickly. Gloria Don't Speak by Lucy App is a book that's not available to me. This one appears to be about a girl with a learning disability who is friends, I think, with a man, but he has a pretty volatile temper, and I guess gets put into prison, and then when he's out of prison they reconnect. I don't know in what capacity, what that means, but it is unfortunately not a book I can get my hands on. It is, after looking at the cover, one that I think a couple of people have talked about potentially on their predictions list, or just as new release books they were looking forward to. So I think this one could get a little bit of buzz. The Others by Sheena Khalil, and this book is another one that's not available to me, and this one I believe it follows 3 people in East Germany, and they make a discovery that I guess kind of propels them into a bit of a political nightmare. And I don't know much beyond that. It is definitely one that I would love to read if I could get my hands on it when it becomes available to me here. Again, I don't know if it's because it's not in the States and my library doesn't have it, or I'm not sure what the story is, but not one that I can get my hands on, but one that I will definitely be curious to see what people have to say, because it sounds like something that's definitely on my alley in terms of its premise. Dominion by Addie E. Kitchens, and this is a book that is just available to me. I am going to read this one electronically. I could wait for it to come to me physically, but I figured I might as well grab one if it's available immediately as an electronic book. that's what I'm going to do. I don't remember what this one's about, except that I recognize the cover with the green and the little snake. It's definitely something I've heard people talk about. I'm very curious about this one. We will see how it goes. Kingfisher by Rosie Kelly, and this one I am number 5, but there's only 1 copy. It could take a little bit for me to get my hands on this one. I'm kind of hoping with a prize nomination, maybe they'll purchase a few more copies. Fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes. But this one is, I don't remember, I think it's about a man who is married but kind of develops feelings for a poet or something like that. Sounds like it could be a little messy. I really like the cover of this one. It just seems kind of dreamy, and it's just got a vibe about it that tickles my fancy, and I'm excited to get my hands on this one. And then finally we have Flashlight by Susan Choi. I am number 30 of 6 copies, so again, it's going to take a while for me to get to this one. I'm kind of irritated because I've had this one in my possession and I just wasn't able to finish reading it. It is one that I will give another chance to because, like I said, I stopped reading it previously because I had to take it back to the library. I had it past my hold date and I felt bad, so I took it back before I had finished it. It's one that I've heard very mixed things about, so I'm not going into it super excited. But because people have either loved it or hate it, I'm hoping I fall on the more positive reaction side. I didn't get far enough into it to really start developing my own feelings, but maybe that also says something that I wasn't crazy. I didn't immediately need to put it back in my possession. So for that one, because it's a little bit bigger, we will see how that one goes as well. You're following a girl whose father goes missing, presumed drowned, and I think you follow her life and that life of her mother's after that event. Sounds like the girl grows up to be kind of a prickly character, and I do enjoy a prickly character. But there we have it. That is the Women's Prize for Fiction. Like I said, for me, in what I've read, no big snubs. I am very excited for Heart the Lover by Lily King. I am kind of bummed that The Pretender by Jo Hartgen didn't make it on, just because of how much I loved it. It was on a couple of people's predictions list. I would have loved to see that one get a little bit more love because of how good it is, but that one has been nominated for, is it the Walter Scott Prize or something? There's a prize that was also just announced, and it's up for that one, so at least I got that. But tell me, what were your hits? What are your misses? What are you planning to read? What are you going to avoid at all costs? And I will see you in the next one. Bye.